Have you ever thought, wouldn't it be cool if we rented a yacht for our next event? Well, awesome, because I've got 5 mistakes to share with you that I want you to avoid so that your event feels bougie, which is, I think, the effect you're going for, and doesn't bomb. So, fun fact for you, I actually watch yacht videos, like the promo kind, on Instagram as a way to wind down. I'm laughing because not only does that sound silly, but seriously, like DM me and I'll send you a couple accounts that have just the most fabulous yacht reels. But I'm also laughing because I do think it's hilarious that I'm doing a podcast episode for you right now on mistakes to avoid when renting a yacht. But this is because I have your best interest in mind. I'm passionate about excellence. You know that. Otherwise, you and I wouldn't be hanging out together here. Excellence wins. Go read that book if you haven't already. Seriously, it's amazing. But really, I see people post about, I see influencers and, experts who host their events and then go and rent a yacht for them. And I see them post about it. And sometimes I cringe because I'm like, oh my gosh, they didn't do their research. And that's number one. I want you doing your research because a yacht, and I'm doing air quotes here, a yacht can go from like bougie to bomb like in a hot minute if you don't pay attention to a few things. And the first thing is doing your research at the beginning and figuring out what you're renting, because a yacht doesn't feel fancy if it's old and tired and has like bad decor and hasn't been taken care of and isn't clean, or the bathrooms just look totally yucky. There's like a whole bunch of yachts that you can rent from an age that's so long ago and they haven't been updated. And I swear to you, when you bring a guest onto a yacht that looks tired and old, it will deflate the energy and excitement of, yay, we're going to spend the evening on a yacht, like in a hot minute, like so fast, less than a minute. It'll take seconds. So I want you to remedy that by getting a tour. And it can be a FaceTime tour, but I feel really passionate about kind of not believing all of the photos on the yacht's promo website and asking them to take you on a live FaceTime tour of the boat, because I want you to know what you're getting. I want you to know what you're paying for. And I want it to feel fancy for you and your guests. So don't skip this step. Like, get a FaceTime tour. We're in the day and age where that is totally acceptable and expected. So do it. Make your integrator, ask your integrator, your PM, whoever, your event planner, to take that extra step, okay? And it can also be reading reviews too, but I think that FaceTime tour is going to really help. Second thing is, where will you embark and disembark? So where are you getting on and getting off the boat? Because some harbors are nicer than others, and you can be prescriptive here and ask that the boat pick you up somewhere other than where it's in its harbor normally, that might be more convenient and comfortable for your guests to get on and off. So during that FaceTime tour, ask to see, well, what does it look like? Where would we be parking, and or where would we be having our bus drop our guests off, and can you make that walk with me while we're live on FaceTime here so I can see, because it might not be fancy enough for you, and you might want to decide to work with the captain and the team to say, hey, I think it would be even better if we got on, this restaurant has an amazing bar and patio with a dock, and how about everyone meets for drinks and then we get on the boat there. So think about that, okay? Third thing is staff. Have I told you about that time when I hired dancers in Florida to go with like a calypso kind of style band to open up a conference? And I just forgot this one tiny detail of asking, like, how are they going to be dressed? And are they going to be all females or all males or males and females? In my head, they had really beautiful, like full-length, full coverage costumes, and they were male-female pairs that were going to be dancing, kind of picture Dancing with the Stars, to go with this great calypso band. But it ended up being all females, scantily dressed, and it didn't really create the feeling and in the moment that we were going for. And so I would ask you, like, about the staff, to ask the boat company about the staffing and what can you expect. Are we thinking like, knee length shorts and like polo shirts that are embroidered with the Yacht logo, or like tuxedos, or what can we expect? And I just think that's important so that you know that what kind of staff this yacht comes with. And I'm going to leave it at that because I think you can picture where I would be going there. I just want it to feel professional and fun, or whatever the vibe is that you're going for. And I don't want you to be surprised. So we talked about doing your research. We talked about talking about that embarkment kind of process, about the where and the when. We talked about staffing, food. So I really believe in high quality food, ingredients, presentation. And I really think that it's unlikely that the boat company is going to be partnered with a catering company that's of the caliber that you are going to want for your guests. And so I'd like for you to ask to see if you can either get the name of their caterer and do your research to make sure it's a good fit, or use your own caterer, because there's nothing worse than getting on a fancy pants boat, but then having them serve your guests in like shabby plastic cups and paper plates, and have the presentation of the food just terrible. And there's the details. Again, the details matter. And I want this to feel like a classy affair. And food and beverage is such a huge component of being on a yacht. So I want it to feel fancy. Same goes with flowers. I've rented boats where they've had like floral on board that was like multiple days old. You could just tell it was used event over event, and it didn't feel fancy or classy, and it was embarrassing, in fact. So I want you to think about those details of what kind of decor, floral details, what kind of catering details that you can attend to yourself, so that you're just not leaving it all up to the boat company, because like the boat company, their expertise really is the boat and making sure it's nice and doesn't sink and goes where it needs to go and comes back safely. And their job really isn't food and beverage and decor. So own that. Okay. And then fifth is weather. It is okay to reschedule. It is not fun to be on a boat in bad weather. So don't push it. this goes back to that whole, I'm sure I told you about this, like the pool event where I wanted to have it outside and I was just dead set on a pool party outside at a hotel in Florida. And they kept telling me, no, the weather's going to be bad. And I ended up listening, thank goodness, and rescheduling it to inside. And thank goodness, because it was downpouring and it would have been a horrible experience to be standing outside by the pool in pouring down rain. And people wouldn't have showed up. But when they're on a boat, they're a captive audience. And yes, I'm on a soapbox, but it's just so important that guests feel comfortable and safe. And because, again, on a boat, you can't leave. At a pool party, you can. And so I want your guests to feel just so in love with being there. And a huge component is going to be the weather. And yes, you might have to eat some expense, but I just encourage you that it's better to cancel and pivot to do something else that day or that night than push it and go and have everybody be miserable because they're not going to have the right clothing. They're not going to be warm enough or dry enough. And again, they're not going to be able to leave. This is just a real sensitive type of event. It all just the stars need to align. And I'm not trying to turn you off from renting a yacht, but I am saying don't push it. If the day is not right, then make the call and do something different. And to that end, I want you to know what the something different is. I want you to know what the backup plan is before, weeks before. And I want you to have it planned out in a fair amount of detail so that the pivot isn't difficult. Okay. I recently forgot to buy tickets to a water park. I was just so busy. And I was taking my kiddo and a friend. The water park is more than an hour away. We get there. It's a holiday weekend. They are sold out. We can't go in. I got on my phone in about 20 seconds. I was able to locate a nearby city pool. And within another 10 seconds, I was on the phone with them confirming that we could come and it was open right now. It ended up turning out being amazing. They had a rope swing. They had a diving board. They had 2 pools, a hot tub. It ended up being pretty cool. But I felt like the worst mom ever. But I was able to pivot really fast. And it's only because, not because I had a plan in place, which you will have because you're dealing with guests who have come to see you, but it's because I'm experienced at planning things, and my brain spins way too fast most of the time. But I don't want you to be in a situation where you don't know what plan B is and you have 10 people, 20 people, 200 people looking at you going, okay, Sarah, what do we do? Because I had 2 very, very sad puppy eye looking children staring at me in that moment. And I felt the pressure. But thankfully I delivered. And within 10 minutes, we were at a new location and it was fabulous. And then we went back the next day. But I digress. I hope that this was fun. I hope this was helpful. I hope that you're now going to go make it happen because yes, a bougie yacht makes for great Instagrammable moments. And in fact, pro tip, hire a professional photographer to join you because you're going to want this magical footage to promote your next event and create a fear of missing out on the socials with your community members who were not able to make it this time, but are watching you intently. All right, take care. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today.